Hey sons and daughters, Addison Bevere here. I hope y'all are doing so well today. I am extremely excited about what I get to share on today. This is the first installment or first part of a series on a higher way of being. We're calling this the I Am series. And I know some of you have wondered, like, what does it actually mean to be a son or daughter? What does that represent? What does that translate to in our world today? And so what we've done is we've come up with these 7 statements that essentially point us toward the higher way of being that is ours in Christ, that we are called to know and experience as sons and daughters of God. Okay, so I get to do the first one. I'm so excited. This is a passion of mine, and I'm gonna share this statement. I want to preface it with this. You're gonna hear this word, and you might have a negative response to this word just because of certain associations or connotations with this word. But I want you to try to hear this word in a new light, okay? All right, you ready? So here it is. Here's the statement. And it's an I am statement. I am holy. Yes, holy. So I stand out from the crowd. Again, I am holy. So I stand out from the crowd. Now, I want to be so clear with you on this. Holiness, it is not legalism. It is not a bunch of rules and regulations. It's so much bigger than that. Okay, so those weird sects in the Christian church that have claims to holiness, they're missing it. Holiness is so much bigger than rules and regulations. So you might be wondering, so Addison, if it's not rules and regulation, what is holiness? Well, if you look at holiness, is essentially the invitation to be like God. Okay, so check this out. It's the invitation to be like God. In 2 Corinthians 6 and 2 Corinthians 7, which 2 Corinthians 6:18, that's the verse that God put in Arden's heart for the Sons and Daughters movement, we see this idea of holiness in the association that it has with being the children of God. In fact, if you look at Romans 8, the entire cosmos is awaiting on tiptoe for the sons and daughters to realize who they are, to realize the holiness that is theirs. Okay, so again, let's talk more about this idea of holiness. So what exactly is holiness? Well, I love Isaiah 6 because I think it gives us one of the great pictures of holiness. Here we find Isaiah, who is a righteous man. He is a prophet of God. He finds himself in the throne room of God, and he is overtaken by the wonder, by the beauty, by the mystery of what he sees in this throne room. And there are these angels, there are these creatures that are crying out, holy, holy, holy. Now, when people read Isaiah 6, they think that Isaiah has an intense response to God's holiness in the sense of he saw God's moral superiority. But I would ask you, did Isaiah see God abstain from sinning? Did he see God keep a bunch of rules and regulations? No, he stood in the presence of someone who was completely other than anything he had ever seen before. And that is the key to holiness. It is essentially otherness. When Jewish people use the word holy, it's kadosh, and it conveys this idea of something that actually cannot be defined. So it's so other, it's so beautiful, it's so set apart, it's so consecrated that it cannot be captured in words. And that is why the prophet Isaiah, when he encountered the holiness of God, said, "Woe is me, I must be silent," or "Woe is me, I'm a man of unclean lips." But then God did what only he could do. He crossed the chasm of his divinity and our humanity, and he came, and through this coal from his presence that the angel put on Isaiah's lips, he imparted something into Isaiah. He imparted an element of his otherness, and all of a sudden the man who said, "Woe is me, I must be silent," said, "I will be a mouthpiece for my God. I will be someone who goes into the world and shares and exclaims the wonders and the mysteries and the beauty of our God." Okay, so that is what we are called to do. That is what we are called to be as sons and daughters of God. We are called to be people who tap into his otherness, his holiness, which is only made possible by his Spirit. The Spirit of God searches and knows the deep things of God, as Paul writes in 1 Corinthians 2. And we get to, because we are his temple, his Spirit lives in us, we get to tap into those deep and those profound mysteries. And when we do so, we reveal a higher way of being, a new way of humanity, one that is animated by the Spirit of God, one that marks the sons and daughters of God. And that is what we are called to enjoy. That is what we are called to pursue as sons and daughters. So again, the first statement, I am holy, so I stand out from the crowd. That is a part of the higher way of being that God is calling us all into. So practically, what does holiness look like in our lives? What does it mean to be people animated by God's holiness? I'll tell you what, it affects every single area of our lives. How we parent, how we do school, how we do love, how we do relationships, how we learn, how we live, everything. It's a willingness to receive from God's otherness so that we stand out in a way that doesn't create a sense of elitism like, hey, everyone look at me, I'm so great. But rather, we're supposed to point to the one human who got this whole humanity thing right. We're supposed to point to Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith. We're supposed to reflect his likeness, his otherness in our world. That is what it means to be holy. It means to reject your idea of your limitations, your idea of your potential, to lay that down at the cross, to lay that down essentially at the cross of his otherness and receive the new identity, the new power, the new potential that is yours in Christ. That is what it means to be someone who is animated by holiness. So over the next several weeks, we're going to be releasing different statements, a total of 7 statements. And then January 2019, we are unveiling a whole slew of exciting things for all of you, our sons and daughters, our fellow sons and daughters. So be on the lookout, be expectant, and be open to what God is going to do in your life and in your world.